Welcome, everyone. Welcome to this webinar on the inner work through Gita. We'll start with a prayer. I invite Pradeep to have an invocation.
Sure. Thank you, Hari. Namaste, everyone. Sahana vavatu, sahanau bhunattu, sahaviryam karavavahai, tejas vinavati tamastu ma vidvishavahai, shanti, shanti, shanti.
Thank you. Since many of you are meeting both of us together for the first time, we will begin with a brief introduction to the program and also to our individual journey with Bhagavad Gita in our life. And further to that, the idea here is to give a mini experience of the session. Some of you have already signed up for the program, some of you might be interested. So we'll have a mini experience of the program for half an hour. And then any questions, clarifications about the journey, we will take it up. So we'll close sharp in 1 hour time. So I'll invite Pradeep to first give a brief sharing about his journey with Bhagavad Gita and inner work and what inspired him to accept this invitation and co-create this journey for all of us.
Thank you. Thank you, Hari. Namaste again, everyone. My name is Pradeep. Me and Ari, we have a very long association right from, I think, 2008 or before that. I was interested in studying Vedanta. I'm just avoiding the word spirituality. Vedanta was something I wanted to always explore. So I was in Chennai, and then I happened to get close association with Swami Mitrananda and Chinmaya Mission. I happened to walk into one of the Gita Jnana Yajna of Swami Swarupananda. That was my first encounter to Gita itself. And I thought I'll just see how it goes in just one day, because it's a 7-day program. Every day evening 6:30 to 8 it happens. It was like watching a thriller movie kind of a thing. I want to know what happens next. I think it was 11th chapter, Vishwarupa Darshanam. That was the whole chapter that was discussed, and it just got me completely into that. And then I started visiting mission and then study classes and all that. I also happened to take up Vedanta studies in a very focused manner, where I quit my job, and then 4 months I was in the ashram studying not only Gita but also other Vedanta texts. Since then, my journey has been always with Gita. Definitely, few slokas comes to my mind whenever I have challenges. That just pops up, I know, from nowhere. It always inspired me. Safely, I can say that I have heard all the 18 chapters in the form of discourse, right, with somebody. But I would like to quote what Swami Chinmaya used to say, that one devotee went to Swami Chinmaya that said, Swamiji, I have gone through Gita some 18 times or something like that. He said, okay, great, but how many times did Gita go through you? That is what is the main thing that I'm still waiting for. So you can say that I have gone through Gita many times in various forms, but Gita is yet to go through me. So you asked me what inspired me. It's another opportunity to go through Gita, or let the Gita go through me by listening to various perspectives. We get to listen to Gurudev again, Swami Chinmayanda, and the reflections of many people would definitely enrich my understanding of Gita, is what I'm excited about. Yeah.
Thank you, Pradeep. Maybe you can also share a little bit about where you are today,
Right.
to for them to place you where you are now.
Sure. Right now, I'm in Hyderabad. I'm into the creative field. I was in advertising before, and then I migrated to photography full time. And then I was with Amazon in Dubai for around 6 years. Right now, I'm into academics. I'm working as senior assistant professor and program director at School of Art and Design in Oxford University, Hyderabad.
Super. Thank you. I'll also just take a couple of minutes, and for any of you who might be listening live or recorded, you don't know me. I'm Hari, currently based in Hyderabad, and primarily having my practice across trauma therapy, somatic experiencing, and leadership development and coaching. And this program is something which is very close to my heart, similar to what Pradeep already shared. The encounter with Gita and the explorations with this particular text began very early in life. I studied in Chinmaya Vidyalaya, and we used to have every day begin with a chanting of the Bhagavad Gita, one of the chapters. And later, as I moved into the volunteering organization, the youth wing of Chinmaya Mission, Meva Kendra, that's where I got an opportunity for a deeper engagement. And one of the very unique features of the Yuva Kendra at that time was about what is called dynamic spirituality. And what it meant by dynamic spirituality was there was a certain way in which Chinmyanji inspired youngsters to take up the study of Indian knowledge system through a rigorous textual study, but also with a parallel experiments and applications in a very creative way. It could be through rallies, it could be through theater, it could be through camps, conferences, publishing or writing books. That kind of an attitude to engaging with the text through inspiring acharyas like Swami Mitranji and in my case, Swami Adhyatmananda from Kerala. Many of them did a lot of work with youngsters when we were in school and college, which really inspired many of us to really kindle the flame of understanding what is the contemporary way to look at the ideas in these texts. For me, this journey extended to yoga after my corporate career, after I left my work with Google and Amazon, and I started Yogashala and started working deeper into integration of process work or applied behavioral sciences with how we engage with Yoga Sutras. I've had opportunity to anchor many of explorations through Yoga Sutras in the online format, looking at it as a mirror. So that experience combined with this initial journey through Bhagavad Gita gave rise to this idea that can we try to do that through Bhagavad Gita also. So this is coming from that space of exploration and curiosity. And obviously, being a practitioner of process work always values group work. So when we learn by ourselves, Swadhyaya has certain insights that we gather from our own experience. But a lot of times, I've seen in group work, there's a lot of things that we are blind to and which we are blind to that we are blind to. And group work is a beautiful way in which those things can surface in group dynamics and what we see in others, listen in others, things like that. So I find that there is a certain organic nature for a group process, which is much more richer than a individualistic study. One day I called up Pradeep and then we said, why don't we put it out? It was very heartening to see that it got a very instant heartwarming response from many, many spaces. And this particular webinar is to introduce a mini experience of that session and also to clarify any questions after that. I'll pause here. What we will do now is I'll give a very quick intro to the journey. This is not a verse by verse textual study of Bhagavad Gita. Those of you who have seen the brochure, that is clear from that. Here, there is a very specific focus area. And the focus area here is around Swadharma. So Swadharma as an idea is something that has really fascinated me. It is something I've been trying to explore and experiment in my own personal life, and I'm sure Pradeep has done it in his life. How do we discover that part of me, which is the quintessential part? When I operate from that space, effort feels effortless, and there's a sense of flow. There are many rich perspectives, propositions in the Bhagavad Gita around discovering, practicing Swadharma, the pitfalls, dangers of slipping into Paradharma. And I think it's a very, very important idea to explore for any professional, for any leader in today's context. So there are so many opportunities. We are having an abundance of choices today. So how do we really know where to anchor? What is the ground from where we are operating? This 12 weeks journey is centered around the idea of Swadharma, looking at certain thematic areas of Bhagavad Gita surrounding that. Every session will have short centering practice that we arrive fully into the here and now. And then we will have a Shravanam, a listening segment where we will be relying on some of the incredible lectures given by Swami Chinmayananda on some of these thematic areas. Having tuned in, listened into that, we will be connecting to our evocations of the same from our own lives. And then there will be a small group and a large group sharing format where we bring in some of our group processes and process work experience to help discover the lens and the meaning making that each of us might be holding around that area. So for today, for the next 15 minutes, we will be moving into a Shravanam or a listening space. You can also choose to listen in a way that is most comfortable for you. It is a part of an introduction Swami Chinmayananda gave to chapter 9 of Bhagavad Gita. It talks about why study Gita. At 15-minute mark, I will close it and then we'll have a 10-minute of sharing. What did this evoke in me as I listened to it? So we'll have a sharing circle for 10 minutes and for the remaining 10-15 minutes, we'll have any Q&A around the design and other aspects. Okay. So on that note, I'm going to share the video.
whenever in the world there is a greater population upsurge. I am not at this moment in my mind keeping the present world. I am thinking of the times when this Bhagavad Gītā was propounded. The text that we are going to study. It was almost a similar situation as we are now meeting in the world around us, about us, at this moment. More materialism, power, respect for dollars or money only, power, position, status. Everything else is secondary. This kind of an attitude of pure materialism, in the light of which moral values and ethical principles, culture, civilization, all been sacrificed in order to get and scramble on to the top of this altar of wealth, power. This was the exact condition of social situation at a time in the Indian history when the old philosophical, spiritual, cultural values were all broken down. They were questioned, they were discussed, and the majority of the population took to the mere path of materialism and sensuality. We are almost living the same reputation of the historical era of the times. And the philosophical thoughts and conclusions arrived at through contemplation by the sacred scientists of life, subjective scientists, the philosophers, those truths are eternal. They are never to be denied, can't be contradicted. They are eternal truths. Like gravitational force or the scientific laws of the universe. They are all permanent. These discovered thoughts or truths and ideals were propounded by these scientists, subjective scientists. But unless those thoughts and ideals are implemented in our everyday life, they cannot have any utility value. When philosophical values are brought down to the everyday life and people live upon those ideals, then in that society, in that community, those philosophical ideals become a culture. If philosophy or philosophical truths are not wedded to life, they become great thoughts, no doubt. But the life goes on in its own endless competitiveness, mutual slaughter, mutual immorality, and wrong, false values. Carefully. The situations in society and communities constantly keep on changing. Each one of us is a changing phenomenon. Never can we ever remain the same at all times. All of us put together is called a community. And since each one of us is changing in our physical habits and demands, in our emotional intentions, in our intellectual vision, each one of us is changing, and all of us put together as a society, and therefore each one when is changing, the social structure, the communal demands, the nation's vision, these must constantly keep on changing. When thus the situations have changed, the philosophical truths remaining the same, its application in the new circumstances have also to be changed. Ordinary man will not know it. The way of life that we have been living, the grandfather, the father, the son living, we continuously live. We are always in the flood of situations or things that are happening around us. Every one of us have not got that creative thought force to plan our life or to even to study the situation. We are just in it. The great prophets, saints and seers, all history, they are people who came and gave this necessary reorientation of the old eternal values with in such a way that the average ordinary man, common man of the street, can bring those philosophical standards or ideas into their ordinary living. In fact, no new master has ever come and said anything really new. But it smells new. It is packed afresh and repacked when it is presented. It looks as if it is brand new. The main thoughts are one and the same. A time was in India where the old values were no more useful or no more applicable in the social conditions of the time. And therefore, in the Bhagavad Gītā, the very same truths of the Upanishads or the great truths of the Vedas, the eternal principles of life, which the great scientists of life, the rishis, have experienced in themselves, not only contemplated and brought out as a plan, as a scheme, but really experienced in themselves. And they declared it in the raw, in naked expressions in the Upanishads, in the Vedic literature. Those very ideas were now presented to the modern generation in a new vocabulary, with a new accent, a new verb in the Bhagavad Gītā. Therefore, it is not a philosophy, merely a philosophy that we are studying, but a philosophy that can be brought by each one of us into a system of values of life, which we can live in the world. And to the extent we are able to live those values of life, to that extent we can chasten, beautify, dynamize, make it more brilliant, our own little life. And if my life has become more dynamic and more creative, and every one of you became a little more creative, a little more peaceful, a little more loving, tender, merciful, do you think that the whole society has changed? If the cells in my body have become healthy, I become healthy. I can never be healthy when my cells are unhealthy. A nation or a community cannot be healthy when individuals are unhealthy. If individuals are beautified in their own attitudes to life, more intelligent in their relationship with each other, that society becomes more healthy, more happy, more cheerful, even more productive and creative. In that way, a re-education in the fundamental values of life is what, really speaking, the study of philosophy through the Bhagavad Gītā gives to each one. Hence, this textbook is so much appreciated for so long, because its date is about 5,000 to 6,000 years before Christ, and therefore 8,000 years or 7,000 years, the book has been enchanting all great thinkers around the world. It is only because of its feet are on the ground, though its head goes beyond the clouds. The idealisms are rendered practical in order to give a new glow to life. And that glowing life of the community, we call it as the culture of that community. When these masters started their contemplation upon the universe, they wanted to know, really, what is it that is giving this life in the universe? Think for a moment. You are alive, I am alive, he is alive, she is alive. The plant, the animal, alive. Now at this moment, this entire universe or the world is full of dynamic activities which are expressions of life. Call it science. Those who are scientists here call it science. Those who are economists here call it economics. Others call it technological age. Others would say that there are all vibrant activities, social, national, communal. All these that are art or literature, philosophy or culture, religion or politics, all these are expressions of life. And when we are alive, each one of us, according to our temperament, may contribute, strive, learn, and contribute to the total life. The contributions of all these past generations have brought together what we call as today's cultural civilization, the modern age. Now, these masters were trying to understand, locate, perceive, try to study what is this mysterious power called life. The life because of which here I am speaking, because of which you are all listening. If that is not, I stop speaking. Or whoever has not got it, he and the chair on which he is sitting, both are useless, isn't it? Become equal. The chair is also inert. It is also a matter. You also become inert matter. Though all of us know that we are made up of matter, calcium, carbon, phosphorus, but we are not merely matter, matter plus. Therefore, I am able to talk to you. My body functions, my mind feels, my intellect thinks. I can able to express, and these sounds reaching your ears, you are able to listen, digest, appreciate, or reject. All these are because you are alive and I am alive. Think. Physically, we may be all different. Emotionally different. Intellectually, we cannot be the same. But you are alive, I am alive. I minus life is equal to you minus life. Isn't it? Plus life, so much of beauty. Each one a jewel. Distinctly different from all others. Each one unique. But all these jewels are splashing out the one source of light. Think. I am conscious. I'm able to think, feel, and act. You are also conscious. Think, able. The plant, the animal, all, even from a worm to the greatest genius in the world, all of them are able to contribute to the world and exist so long as it is alive. Minus life, whoever you might have been. I am a Swami, you are a political leader, the father of the nation, or the president, whoever you may be. Minus this mysterious thing becomes so many pounds of manure. Think of it. Between there is no other state. Either you are a great, mighty intellectual, a scientist, an artist, or a writer, or a poet, whatever that is you are. Minus this flame of life, You are food for worms or manure for plants.
Take a moment, and if you are able to, you can come on video. Just have a bit of a sharing. What resonated, evoked, or maybe provoked in you as you listen to this yesterday?
Yeah. So for me, I think the whole mystery of life came alive in this short session. It's something that we take for granted. And it's almost as if we are looking for some kind of a miracle when it comes to understanding Vedanta or so called spirituality. But the biggest miracle of being alive is not something that is acknowledged enough. So this whole mystery of life is what I connected with. That it's so amazing. It automatically got my energy up as he was raising those questions and talking about it. That's my immediate response to what I experienced. Yeah, what I heard.
Yeah. Thanks, Uday. Yes, Deepak.
Thanks, Sudhir. That was beautiful. And just adding to what you said, what you shared, for me, what also came alive is just the fact that there are these principles, just like gravity, right? Okay. And I'm just sensing, I mean, there is so much of, what do you say? Why is India rotting? Why is community? Why is this not clean? There are like some 50,000 problems within the family, community, society, country, world, whatever, right? But it never struck that there is, just like gravity, there are some principles. Now, people don't apply principles. I mean, if I'm not applying the principles and I'm not radiating it out, then those principles don't show. It's like, I think I'm just getting what do you say, a small glimpse of, what could it look like to actually, have a better world that works for all.
Yes, Leela.
I think I'm just struck by all the lightness he had. I mean, he was funny. He was making jokes, and he was making jokes at life. He was making jokes at everyone. And I just loved it. I mean, it's such a it's a serious topic, and he just brought it into, I don't know, it was just amazing. I'm smiling as I say this, right? I just loved hearing it. To hold it like that, I think is so special.
I think one of the things that struck me was the fact that this was a lecture in Stanford in 1977, and the way he was speaking, it felt like he's talking about today. So one of that magic of how something ancient, even when he's trying to contemporize it in that time and frame, but we are sitting here after so many decades and still feels as if it's talking about today. I think that was the most energizing aspect for me to listen. Aparna, you were about to add.
Yeah, so I was about to say that, Hari, that, when this thing was going on and when he was speaking, I was an infant, and that was my initial observation. But it's also, I mean, I need to listen again, obviously, because it's not completely digested in a way it's intended to. But I think what I understood with just one listen is that life is so simple, but at the same time, it's also complex. It's what we make it. It's how we make it out. If you want simplicity, you will find simplicity. You'll find everything is really simple, easy. But if you want to make it complex, and there's no end to it. So I think that's something that stayed with me. But of course, I do listen to him, but I've not seen this. It's worth going back and listening it again. Thank you for that.
Yes, Savitri.
Yeah. So for me, I was amazed at how this was 7,000 years old. I mean, before Christ. And yet, how it's just because of its, he says, groundedness and its foot on the ground, and this has helped it survive. So, text that has survived over 7,000 years. I mean, I really want to study it or let the Gita work. I mean, go through me. I mean, what Pradeep said, that allow the Gita to be a part of me also. Go through me in a way. Anyways, that's what I want to say. Thank you.
Hi, Hari. Thank you so much for that. I mean, I completely resonate with whatever Deepak, Uday, Leela, everybody spoke. But what I was so amazed was that, I was feeling quite tired before this whole talk started. And it was the end of the day. And I was almost not very happy that you're going to run a recording. I said, oh, I don't know if I can really listen to this now. And the way the whole thing uplifted, and at some point I felt, yeah, I mean, I'm not the chair, I'm the person on the chair. Look at the way I'm listening to it. So it was really magical how the energy was so uplifting. And he was narrating it with such a childish quality. And actually, he's talking about so many profound things, but the way he said it, he made it so available to us just in those few minutes. So it was absolutely fascinating. So thank you so much for that.
Just one more thing came alive when Savitri was sharing, which was Swami Chinmayanandaji talks about this like gravity, right? And I realized that in life, when subconsciously, unconsciously I followed gravity, things have worked. And then majority of my life when it is not working, I'm not seeing it like, no, principles such as gravity not being in play, right? So therefore, when the Gita really begins to flow through me, I can just notice then the principles are at play. Then life can be so much more powerful. But otherwise, we want to emulate people. We want to be like him or her or have their life or, that, but not knowing that am I applying principles, like fundamental principles of living. I think that's also something that struck that, how many ever thousands of years, gravity cannot change, right? Okay. So I'm just noticing that can I really begin to look at the study of Gita, like learning the principles of living life, right? Authentically, powerfully, right? From full presence.
One of the things that came to my mind, almost like a compulsion to, is that most of the time we kind of ask questions. We are full of questions. Why is this like Deepak? We were saying that, why is the world is like this, whatever. I think what this sort of reminded me is that it's also important to know what is the right question. In a session sometime back, we were having to study Vedanta. We had this, I borrowed it from Hari, the check-in word or check-in question. We used to ask a question. And that one of the questions that came to my mind was, which I told everyone to sort of think and contemplate about it, was if you get a chance to meet your own guru, Mahatma, whoever regard as guru, and imagine he's not there, and you just get one chance to ask one question, what would that be? So I think that is the thought that I was getting, that probably we don't know to ask question or ask the right question, right? That is one. Second, this also took me to the area where wisdom and knowledge. So we know a lot of things, but where to apply, how to apply, how much to apply. So I was also having that thought. Yeah.
Anybody else would like to add anything to share a bit about the design part of this, like how we were sharing right now about what it evoked in us. If you notice, one, there is a richness of diversity of what each person picked up. Some of us, like I picked up about how such a thing which is ancient is still relevant. Some of you are touched by the lightness of the childlike quality of looking at life. So in a actual session during this journey, we will go one more step deeper into this process, where we will also look at what does this speak to me about where I am in my life, who am I being, and in doing what I'm doing, what am I really doing. So for me, for example, what touched me today and what I shared here, if I go one step into it, it really reveals to me my yearning to keep going deeper into these traditions, knowledge, and also a certain impatience of not just being a learner, but to be a learner practitioner. I felt so joyful when he was speaking about how do you then bring it to life, or when he made a statement of it is grounded in, it's so grounded but head above the cloud. So that for me, that statement resonated deeply. If that is the case, how is it working? How is it coming alive in my life? Am I getting too much in the head? Where am I able to place it in reality? These are things we will go deeper in a journey of bringing it really personal into our own context individually, into our own choices, our own meaning making processes when it comes to relationships, when it comes to choices that we end up making and things like that. And in that process, the text, the ideas, and the ideals will become a mirror that can effectively reflect where am I, why am I here, and who am I being. That's the journey. We are creating a certain container of picking up themes in this 12 weeks around Swadharma. So looking at that as the sub layer of exploration. And hopefully, if that goes well, we can always look at different themes at different points in time. Now, on that note, we have 10 more minutes. So I'll just open up the space for any questions, reflections, clarifications about anything that's on top of your mind.
So, Hari, I just have a question. I'm not someone who's read the Gita properly. And when I say that, I mean I'm in the middle of Vivek Devroy's Mahabharata translation. So I've read it in book 5 and I've seen bits and pieces. I'm familiar with some of it, but I don't know anything. So for this course, is there any required reading, or would you suggest or recommend that we pick up one of the translations and we sort of become familiar with them? Is it required for this, or just we do it later? I'm asking that from I've had a longing to read it, but I don't understand it.
And
So I would like to enter that space as well.
sure, sure. So as I said, this is not a textual study and it's a self-reflective exploration. So you don't need to have known anything about Gita in the past.
Lovely.
And even if you had known, what you might discover might be different because we are not trying to, for example, Manji has written commentaries on each verses. We are not going to study that. The segment we are curating for this Shravanam, the listening part like we did now, is more to bring an evocation about you. We are the subject here. So you come in with your life experience and context, and what we are creating as the container is just to bring some reflections into that. So there's no prerequisite, but we do hope that perhaps this 12 weeks will inspire enough confidence to deep dive further. There are varying levels of commentaries available. Who knows? Maybe all of us will journey at some point for a deeper immersive learning also. For now, no requirement. Yeah.
Thank you, Hari. That's beautiful. It worked.
Hari, I just wanted to ask, while I understand it's curated and it's not textual, we're not going to go through the chapters, but is there any thinking that you want to share on how you've created this, in the sense, what is the thought behind the curation? Any specific aspects you're looking at?
Yeah, sure. I can share that. See, for those of us who are a little nerdy, of course, all the participants will be part of the learning management system. So you will have access to the videos and even a little bit more written material if you wish to have the notes and things like that. And one of my idea is also to, and this is something I picked up from my flow game host training, of creating a harvest document. So I'm also looking at using what our collective insights emerge as a properly documented resource we can all access even at the end of the program. But having said that, the thought behind the curation is, see, at this point in my journey, there are two themes that are very calling out to me. So I usually curate programs which resonate with where I am also. And when I shared this with Pradeep, we also resonated well with it. So, as I said at the start, the core theme is Swadharma. And why this particular theme? In most of my coaching conversations, especially post COVID, a lot of people are coming to know how to pivot into something totally different, how to transition into a space that is more energizing and living in their life. I usually work with this Purushartha framework from our Vedic literature, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. And a lot of times I feel the split in the modern context is a belief that gets inculcated that doing what you have to do to create a good living, a good life, that's the pursuit of material wealth, artha, has to necessarily come with a price of meaninglessness, doing something that is totally unrelated from who you are or your swadharma. And my own experiments and explorations in my life, and I know in Pradeep's life also has been, how do we integrate this? What really becomes a calling? Like I was just listening to this beautiful interview of Simon Sinek with Bob Chapman other day, and he was telling about you can never retire from a calling. You can only retire from a job. And unfortunately, many of us are stuck in jobs, not in a calling. And I really feel that if we are able to crack the formula for Swadharma in our own lives, there will be so many of us more who can listen and then follow what is our calling than answer somebody else's call. And that is what essentially Gurudev said in this particular talk also, of how and each individual can make their life a little more peaceful, a little more beautiful, the entire social fabric and the nation and the world can change. So that's the main idea, Savitri. The themes that can go into supporting the exploration of Sudharma. That is the journey for this 12 weeks, for this edition.
Thank you.
The program begins on July 18 and it's for 12 Saturdays, and it will be Indian time 7:30 in the morning to 9 o'clock, 90 minutes. And even if you miss a session, recordings will be available. You will all receive a sign up page link after this. If you want to have any further conversation, feel free to reach out. We can move into a checkout statement. So where are we at the end of this particular webinar. One feeling word or statement from each of you will be nice to hear. I'm feeling very connected and energized. Listening to the talk and the sharing has energized.
Energized.
I'm looking forward.
I'm curious and grateful for this into my life.
Yeah.
I'm feeling energetic.
For me also, I'm feeling grateful for coming into the space and also for what I received over the last hour. And of course, I think I'm both curious and eager for the unfolding.
Yeah, I'm reflective.
I'm feeling super ready.
Yeah, I'm also feeling very energized.
Thank you for the welcome, and I'm very excited. I was very tired. It's early here, and now I'm awake and very curious. Thank you.
Thanks, Amrit. Thanks for joining so early. All right. On that note, we shall have a good night and a good morning.
Thank you.
Wherever you are.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Bye. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.